Sure. Just great excitement in our game last week. I thought we had a crowd of over 30,000 for the second time this year, which was an awesome crowd, and really a great home field advantage for us because they really get into the games. And so again, proud of our team the way they finished in the fourth quarter and coming out, against a team that I think is really hard to defend in Coastal Carolina, and I thought our guys really did a good job at the end to finish the game off and with a nice win. And it's always great to get another conference win. So we're excited about that, and then now we're looking forward to going out of conference and playing UMass this week.
Thank you, Coach. Our first questions come from Brett Friedlander. Brett, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Scott. The last three games, you've either had to come from behind in the fourth quarter, or this past week it took to the fourth quarter to be able to get some separation. Is there any reason that you guys have been so strong late in games, and is it any concern that you've had to resort to that the last 3 weeks to get by?
Well, I think first of all, I think we'd love to win every game by 20 or more points. That'd be awesome, but it's hard to do. It's hard to do in this day and age of college football. There's a ton of parity, I think, throughout the country. We see it week in and week out. And I think that, teams, regardless of teams' records, you can throw these records out the window. It doesn't matter. I think it's about matchups with teams week in and week out, and then it really comes down to execution on game day. And the reason I think we talk about it all the time. We train this way is how we're going to finish, and I think we've been able to finish games in the fourth quarter, and I think that's a lot of times that's how you win games is finishing off in the fourth quarter. We talk about it all the time that there's a fine line between winning and losing. A lot of times it comes down just a few plays, and it's just keeping your concentration and just going as hard as you can go, really for 60 minutes. And, we've been very fortunate to finish off these games in the fourth quarter.
Is there any reason that you guys have gotten off to some slower starts and found yourselves in a position of being behind going into the fourth quarter?
Well, I don't there's probably several different reasons why that's happened. And, some of it is our opponents. I think they're coming out playing really hard initially, and I think we hadn't made the plays we needed to make early on in the games. I think our guys have done a good job of making adjustments throughout games in order to be able to make stops and to make plays offensively late in the games. And, so I think it's probably several different things why. But obviously if we could pinpoint one thing why, we'd get it fixed. And, I thought this past week we came out pretty good and, got up 17-3 in this game, and then we had a lull in the middle of the game, and then we finished off pretty strong as well. So it's just, just keep playing and keep prepping each week and try to get better each week.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you. Our next questions will come from Ethan Joyce with the Winston-Salem Journal. Please go ahead, Ethan.
Hey, Scott. Just want to get your perspective on how Jalen's dealt with the injuries this year. I know it could probably be pretty easy to get frustrated so far.
Yeah, I'm sure he's frustrated as a player. I mean, he obviously wants to be out there to play and be healthy. I think that's obviously for everybody, but for him, he's battled injuries basically all year, and he's been able to come back out and play. And most of our games was not able to come back this past weekend. We'll see how he does this week throughout practice and whether or not he can be effective in the game on Saturday. So. But it's frustrating for him. I think, he just obviously wants to be healthy so he can go out and perform. I thought he was playing well in the first quarter this past week. Had a nice touchdown, and he caught the ball, had a nice catch and run. So, I mean, he's a really good player for us, and we want him out there. But, we got to get the health thing fixed, and so we can get fully healthy.
Yeah, Devin doesn't play this last game, and Tobias, he kind of gets in there a little bit. But where are those guys sitting right now health-wise?
Talking about up front, offensive line, or?
Tobias.
You talking about Devin Stringer? I got you.
Yeah.
We got there's a couple guys that we've had the injury bug this year, and we had to finish the game off with some young running backs. Akeem had to replace Devin at outside linebacker. We'll see where we are this week in practice, whether or not those guys will be able to go. It's this time of the year, and I think it affects every team. When you're dealing with some injuries, you lose a guy and maybe get him back 2 weeks later or whatever it may be. But, in our mentality, obviously it's next man up, and sometimes it's young guys that are inexperienced, and and that may have something to do with the inconsistent play at times throughout the last several games. But we're going to continue to press on and try to prep our guys the best we can, and whoever's on the field, we expect them to make plays for us.
Do you like having a non-conference game kind of in this part of the season?
Not particularly. I think, historically, I think you play a lot of your non-conference games, maybe most of them at the beginning of the season. You play your 4 games, and then you get in your conference schedule, and then, you just play your conference schedule out. We played Texas State the 3rd game of the year this year, and now we're playing UMass here, in October, late October. So it's a little bit different. I think, I don't particularly like it. Obviously, it's the schedule that we were dealt with before the season, so you make the most of it. And, we're going to play a very hot team, I think. They scored 105 points in the last 2 weeks. And, a team that's really catching its groove. Again, you throw these records out the window, they don't mean anything. It's a very talented football team.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep. We have time for one more. Steve Baer with please go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. Coach, can you just kind of give a quick scouting report on UMass? What do they like to do? What are they good at?
Yep. I think, first thing that stands out is offensively. Last week they played 2 quarterbacks. Both of them were very effective in throwing the football, and they really did not get slowed. They were not slowed down at all in that game last week and scored, a ton of points, had over 450 yards in the first half and 48 points at halftime. And, their explosive offense, Coach Whipple does a great job offensively, always has, of moving the football. They got a tight end that's an NFL prospect tight end, 6'5". He gets a lot of targets, and they have number 23 is an extremely fast wide receiver that I think that's made a lot of plays for them. Last week they rushed for over 300 yards as well. So they're very explosive offense, and then defensively they're going to play a lot of man and bring pressures and try to get that offense off the field. So. And we have to go there. It's a long trip up to UMass, and a very, very scary team at this point in the season.
Also, what was Devin's injury, and how is I think Jalen had a foot? Is he day to day?
Yeah. Jalen will be day to day with the foot injury. Really the kind of same thing that's been nagging him this season. And then Stringer he's a leg injury that we'll see where he's at right now. He's listed as doubtful for this week. We'll kind of see where it's at toward the end of the week.
Okay. Since I got time for one more, I hope. Do you remember the 2006 game with UMass? What are your memories of that?
Yeah. The national championship game, but different time, different teams, and all that. But I mean, they're a program I think back then, FCS, that were a very good program. Historically, been a very proud program as well. And, Coach Whipple's been there before, and he's done a great job before. And his team seems to me he's got his team headed in the right direction. Every game this year has been competitive, and just come out on the losing end, but most of them. But I mean, it's a very proud program.
Thank you, Coach.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Coach. That's all the time we have for you today. We do appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.